Good evening and welcome to St. Peter's in Hoe for another talk about funerals. I'd now like to talk about what a funeral is not. There's a theological mistake that's always made when it comes to requiem masses, where people say on the order of service, a mass in celebration of the life of Joe Smith, who has died. This is not the case. No requiem mass is ever a celebration of a deceased person's life. In fact, it's just completely wrong because the Mass is a celebration of a person who is still alive, namely Jesus Christ. The Mass is a memorial of Jesus Christ, a memorial which makes him present. Now, you know what a cenotaph is, and you know what a tombstone is. A tombstone is a marker to show that the person is buried there. A cenotaph is a memorial to a person who's absent, such as the war memorial that's called the Cenotaph in Whitehall. The thousands of people it commemorates are not buried there. They're buried all over the world. Now, the Mass is a memorial sacrifice which makes Jesus present. When we celebrate a requiem Mass for the repose of the soul of somebody or another, we're praying for their soul. We're not celebrating them. We're not remembering them. We're remembering Jesus Christ, and we're remembering the dead person in the presence of Jesus Christ. So that's rather different from this idea of a Mass to celebrate the life of. In fact, you can't have a Mass to celebrate the life of anybody. The only person you celebrate the life of is Jesus Christ in the Mass. It's true that you can have a Mass, for example, on the feast day of St. Charles Borromeo, in which you remember St. Charles Borromeo, and you remember the graces that St. Charles Borromeo received from Jesus Christ, who is celebrated in that Mass. But the focus of celebration in any Mass, including a Requiem Mass, is Jesus Christ himself. Now, you can have a memorial service. There's nothing wrong with a memorial service. I mean, if I'm asked to do a memorial service, I'll do a memorial service. But I do feel that there's nothing particularly Catholic about a memorial service. Memorial services can degenerate into memorial meetings, memorial concerts, and collections of readings and reminiscences and so on. Our atheist brethren have memorial meetings. Our musician brethren perhaps may have memorial concerts. It's fine to have a memorial concert or a memorial meeting. But there's quite often, if you talk about a memorial service, the religious element in that memorial service will be very, very small. Sometimes you might have prayers at the end of the Our Father and a blessing. But in fact, the focus of any memorial service is going to be on the person who has died. You are remembering the person who has died. But in a Requiem Mass, you're remembering Jesus Christ. You're carrying out his command. Do this in memory of me. Now, you might think I'm labouring this point, but I don't think I am. Because I think one of the things we do when somebody dies, one of the things we do when we're mourning, is we raise the heart and mind to God. We focus on God. And we see the ruptured relationship, which is bereavement, as not just me and the person who's died, but me, the person who's died, and Jesus Christ, who links me to the person who's died. So our relationships are always triangular relationships because between each person there is a relationship, but that relationship is always in God if we are Christians. So when somebody dies, we draw closer to that person by drawing closer to God. When somebody dies, we talk and think about Jesus Christ, and we talk about the person who's died in the context of our shared relationship with Jesus Christ. I think this is so important. There's a joke in Evelyn Waugh's A Handful of Dust, in which there is a terrible bereavement, and the vicar comes around to speak to the hero of the book, Charles Last. And Charles Last says, but, oh my God, fancy having to talk about religion at a time like this. But in fact, bereavement is exactly the time when we need to talk about God. It's a sign of the way we're going that quite often we have religious services which are outwardly religious but have been hollowed out of their religious content. Don't think that's a good idea. So for a memorial service, why not just have a memorial meeting or a memorial concert? It doesn't have to be in church. And it should only really be in church if the focus is on God. Let us focus our minds on the Lord. The Mass is his memorial. And when we remember somebody, we remember them before the Lord. All the best. Good night. See you tomorrow.